Morning, children. In the last class, we have discussed about historiography of the ancient and medieval period. So, what is ancient period? Ancient period extends up to 8th century AD, and medieval period starts from 8th century to 18th century. And we have studied about the source of studying historiography of the ancient and medieval period. Today we are going to discuss about the development of historiography of the modern period. Modern period means it starts from 18th century onwards. Modern period marks the arrival of British and the decline of Mughal Empire. So when we discuss about the development of historiography of the modern period, we will see the some influence of British historians as well as Indian historians in the development of historiography of the modern period. So let us discuss about that. Historiography in the modern period. In the 20th century, the Indian archaeological exploration and research started under the British rule. When we say about 20th century, do you know when it starts? It starts from 1900 onwards. In the 20th century of the Indian archaeological exploration, what is archaeology? Do you know what is archaeology? Archaeology is a branch of history in which we study the remains of the past. The archaeological exploration and research was started under the British rule in the 20th century. In this regard, a number of ancient sites, what do you mean sites, places were excavated. What do you mean by excavated? Brought under some examination, that is excavated. Were excavated under the supervision of Sir Alexander Cunningham. He was the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. Even now also this Archaeological Survey of India is there. It's a department of the Government of India. So Sir Alexander Cunningham, he was the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. He chose mainly the sites, places mentioned in the Buddhist texts for this purpose. In the last discussion, we have discussed about Buddhist texts. Harappan civilization was discovered during the tenure of Sir John Marshall when he was the Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. We all know what is Harappan civilization. Do you remember in 6th standard you have studied about Harappan civilization? Harappan civilization is known by another name, Indus Valley civilization. Indus is the name of a river of India and other name of Indus river is Sindhu. A civilization developed on the bank of the river Sindhu, and that civilization is known as Sindhu civilization or Harappan civilization, or it is known by another name, Mohenjo-daro civilization. So Harappan civilization was discovered during the tenure of Sir John Marshall. Actually, Harappan civilization was discovered as a part of construction of railway line which starts from Lahore to Multan. Some workers, they were engaged in the building of railway line. They had to dig the land. When they dug the land, they found some stones of ancient origin and they reported to their higher officials. Then British government has appointed John Marshall to see the origin of that particular ancient rock or piece of stone. So after the studies on that, they came to know there was a great civilization flourished in India some 2500 years ago, that is Harappan civilization. Because of this discovery, the antiquity, what do you mean antiquity? object of ancient origin. As I have already told you, all the bricks of ancient origin they found there. So antiquity means what? You can write down there, object of ancient origin. So they could find, they could discover some object of ancient origin of Indian history that could be traced to 3rd millennium BCE or even earlier. That particular civilization was flourished in India some 5000 years before. 3rd century, 3rd millennium BCE means what? I have already told you 1 millennium is 1000 years. 3000 years BC, that means around 5000 years before this Indus Valley civilization was developed on the bank of the river Sindhu or Indus, and this civilization is known as Indus Valley civilization. Many British officials in India wrote about Indian history. Their writing display strong influence of colonial policies of the British. Now we are going to see who has written Indian history. As I told you earlier in the beginning of our discussion, 18th century marked two things. One is the decline of Mughal Empire. In 1707, Aurangzeb, the last strong emperor, died. After the death of Aurangzeb, Mughal dynasty declined. At the same time only, the British came to India. So modern India or modern history of India is influenced by British officials because they came to India during that time. Many British officials in India wrote about Indian history. Their writings display strong influence of colonial policies of the British. Whenever we are going to see the writings of British officials, you can see they are just supporting colonial rule of British. They are writing against Indians. It is quite natural for Britishers to write on behalf of colonial rule. Colonial rule means what? British rule. Now let us see which books were written by British writers. One of the famous book which is written by James Mill, which has got some source of modern historiography, is The History of British India. It was written by James Mill. You might have heard about J.S. Mill, James Stuart Mill, that is his full name, James Mill. It was published in 1817. This was the first book on Indian history written by a British historian. Very important thing is that is very important. It was written by British historian. There was many books were written by Indians, but this was the first book on Indian history written by a British historian, and his name is James Stuart Mill or J.S. Mill. Now one thing, as I told you, it clearly reflects on absence of objective perspective and prejudice about the various aspects of Indian culture. You know what is prejudice? Prejudice means to judge before, prejudgment. For example, one particular teacher has come to your class, you are thinking like that, you are having some prejudgment, prejudice. You must be thinking, oh, this sir is not going to teach properly, like that. So that is prejudice. That is not always good also. But here, when James Mill has written that book, he prejudiced Indians. Prejudiced Indian means, he was blaming Indian administration or he was blaming Indians. At the same time, he was praising British administration. He had a great prejudice on Indian culture. He did not like Indian culture at all. Another book is also there in this regard, that was written by Mountstuart Elphinstone. Mountstuart Elphinstone, he was the governor of Bombay, now it is known as Mumbai. He has written another book. That book's name is The History of India. It was published in 1841. From these two books, we can get some source of studying modern history. Now again, the period of Maratha Empire is also very important in Indian history. Maratha Empire, we all know that. We must be proud of the great Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So, even Maratha Empire is also very important in the Indian history. one person name is very important, one writer's name is very important in this regard. His name is Grand Duff. Grand Duff was the first person to write about Maratha history. He wrote the book entitled A History of Marathas. We must be proud of this great writer because he has written about Maharashtra and the great Maratha rule. He wrote the book entitled A History of Marathas. The book is published in 3 volumes. It had 3 volumes. Grand Duff's writing also shows the British inclination. What do you mean by inclination? Interest of condemning Indian culture and history. So, he has written, Grand Duff, he was the one who has written this particular book, A History of Marathas. But one thing is very important here, he was also opposing Indian culture and history. Grand Duff's writing also shows the British inclination. Inclination means, interest of condemning. Condemning means opposing Indian culture and history because Grand Duff primarily is a Britisher. So, even though he has written about Maratha history, he just degraded the Indian people and praised the British administration in India. Even another great person was Colonel Todd. Even he had written some writing about Rajasthan history. The 2 volumes written by William Wilson Hunter on history is also another example for impartial treatment of the subject. Impartial treatment of the subject means they have written on behalf of British. They were always praising British administration even though it has got some mistakes and they tarnished Indian culture. Now, we are going to see the Indian writers, Indian historians who took the task of exposing the limitation of Grand Duff's writings. As I have already told you, Grand Duff, he has written a book, but in which he has only praised British administration. He did not pay attention to the great culture of India. So Nilkant Janardhan Kirtane and Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwade, these were the 2 historians who took upon the task of exposing, what do you mean exposing, showing the limitations of Grand Duff's writings. Now we are going to see Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. We are going to study about modern historiography, the source of studying modern historiography and the scope of modern historiography. In that first category is colonial historiography. What do you mean by colonial historiography? What do you mean by colony? In 8th standard, you have studied about colony. India was a colony of British. What do you mean by India was a colony of British? India was ruled by British. British came to India and they conquered India and they made India as a colony. As a colony here means they used to carry the raw materials from India and they converted these raw materials into finished products and they made a lot of money. So India has become a colony. So colonial historiography means British historiography. The early scholars who studied and wrote Indian history were mainly British officers and Christian missionaries. I have already given the example of James Mill, Grand Duff and all. And even Christian missionaries. What do you mean by Christian missionary? Christian missionaries means the people who came from Britain or the priests who came from Britain in order to preach Bible. So these people also wrote Indian history. But they prejudice India. I already told you what I mean by prejudgment. They just ignore the development of India, the great culture of India, but they praise British administration. Their prejudice is clearly reflected. What do you mean by reflected? Shown in the way some of them have ridiculed Indian culture. They just ridiculed our Indian culture. Ridicule means, they laughed at Indian culture. For Britishers, it was very difficult to understand Indian culture. because India is a land of people who speak different languages, having different custom, they having different costume, having different eating habits. They cannot digest this. Whereas in Britain, there they have got one language, that is English. If you are going to Britain and if you would ask any Britisher, what is your language, they will definitely say, my language is English. What is your costume? There will be one answer only. But in India, it is not like that. We have got a great culture, but they could not digest this great culture. Their writings were used to justify the colonial British rule. Both these British officers and Christian missionaries, those who have written books on history, Indian history, they were just ridiculing Indian culture. They were just justify the colonial British rule. The 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India, which was published during the time of 15 years, that is 1920 to 1937, a span of 15 years, Common Era, AD, as distinct example of colonial historiography. What do you mean by distinct? Distinct means, special example of colonial historiography. You can see that cover page of that particular book. The book's name is The Cambridge History of India, which was published during the period between 1922 and 1937 for a span of 15 years. So I hope you have understood what is colonial historiography, the historiography which was developed during the period of colonial period. Now I am going to take your attention on Orientalist historiography. What do you mean by Orient? Orient, you might have heard about some ceiling fan. Ceiling fan name is Orient. But actually what is the meaning of Orient is East. In geography you have studied India is on the eastern hemisphere. So Europeans consider our historiography as Eastern historiography, and Eastern has got one name, that is Oriental or Orientalist historiography. What do you mean by Orientalist historiography? It is the historiography which is written by some Europeans on India. So that is the meaning of Orientalist historiography. Eastern historiography we can say, but it is written by Europeans. Many European scholars felt curious about civilizations and countries of the East. So many people, they were curious about to know the civilization of India and countries of the East. Because we all know 1497, Vasco da Gama came to India. He found a new sea route to India. We have already studied in 8th standard. So they were very curious about Eastern world, like India. Some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. There are many scholars. They had great praise and respect for Indian culture. The Orientalists study the similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. The Orientalists found some similarity of Sanskrit with some of the European languages. They focus more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit literature. What is Vedic tradition? There was a period existed in India, historical period existed in India, which you have studied in 6th standard, that is Vedic period or Vedic culture. So Orientalists focus more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit literature, because Vedic tradition is based on Vedas. There were 4 Vedas. You might be knowing which are the 4 Vedas. They are Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. And these all Vedas were written in Sanskrit. And they had a great attraction towards Vedic tradition, and they were very curious about studying Sanskrit, because all these Vedas were written in Sanskrit. Their studies resulted in formulating, what do you mean by formulating? Forming or shaping the notion means idea, of an ancient language, that is Sanskrit. That Sanskrit could be the mother of all Indo-European languages. That means the Orientalists believed that Sanskrit is the mother of all Indo-European languages. Keeping in mind this purpose, Sir William Jones, an Orientalist, founded Asiatic Society in Kolkata in 1784. It opened the doors for research in ancient Indian literature and history. Why this particular Asiatic Society was founded? In order to have research on ancient Indian literature and history, especially Sanskrit or Vedic literature. They wanted to translate Vedic books which is written in Sanskrit into European languages, and they wanted to make Europeans know the great culture of India. Now, we are going to see the great work done by Frederick Max Muller. He was basically a German, but he spent a lot of time in India, and he was a great admirer of Vedic culture, and he translated many books into German. Among the Orientalist scholars, Frederick Max Muller deserves a special mention. In his opinion, Sanskrit was the most ancient language of the Indo-European languages. When we are going to see the Indo-European languages, among them, Sanskrit was the most ancient language. Indian languages are there as well as European languages are there. So, this is known as Indo-European languages. And among Indo-European languages, Sanskrit was the most ancient language. That was the opinion of Frederick Max Muller. He was deeply interested in Sanskrit literature. He had a great admiration, he had a great attraction on Sanskrit language. He first translated the Sanskrit text of Hitopadesh into German, that is his language. He was the editor of 50 volumes of the sacred books of the East, especially the books of Hinduism. He has written 50 books on the sacred books of the East. That too, it was written in Sanskrit. He also compiled Rig Veda. As I have already told you, Rig Veda was the first Veda. He also compiled Rig Veda, which has been published in 6 volumes, 6 books. He translated Rig Veda into German, because German was his mother tongue. Lely Edwards said, a scholar who has re-evaluated the Orientalist writings, has thrown light on imperialist interest of Orientalist scholars. Now we are going to see the third type of historiography, nationalist historiography. When we are discussing about nationalist historiography, you must understand one thing. These are the historiography which is written by Indians and Indian national leaders, and we know this was the time when India was under the control of British. We are fighting against British to gain freedom. So some nationalist leaders have written some books on history, and that is known as nationalistic historiography. The writings of Indian historians who were trained in the Indian English educational system or British educational system show an inclination, what do you mean inclination, interest, to restore the pride in the ancient glory of India and the self-esteem of Indian readers. Self-esteem, self-respect of Indian readers were respected by the nationalist historiographers. They showed an inclination to restore the pride of ancient glory of India. India had a great legacy. India had a great pride. But after the advent of Britain, it was gone away. So they wanted to bring back the ancient pride of India and the glory of India and self-esteem of Indian readers. Their writings are known as nationalistic historiography. For example, it is written in the history, in the ancient period, India and China were the most developed countries of the world. They were regarded as God. Sone ki chidiya, you might have heard about that. But after the advent of Britain, we have been exploited by Britishers. And these nationalistic historiographers wanted to bring back the lost glory and self-esteem of Indian readers or Indian people. National writings in Maharashtra was inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplungar. Vishnu Shastri Chiplungar was the first person to write nationalistic writings in Maharashtra. He criticized the prejudiced history of ancient India written by British officers. You have seen about James Mill. These people, the British authors, they always ridicule Indian culture. They wrote prejudiced history of ancient India. I have already discussed with you what is prejudiced history of ancient India. They did not write history of India in a positive way. They have written history of India in a negative way. That is what is the meaning of prejudiced history of ancient India. So this nationalistic historiographers wanted to show the people of India the great legacy of India. The nationalistic historians tried to see the golden era of Indian history. I already told you ancient India was the golden country of the world, or we can say Soneki Chidiya, India and China, they were the richest countries in the world. They are at times blamed for ignoring the critical analysis of historical truth. These nationalistic historiographers, they blamed the writings of British historians because the British historians ignored the critical analysis of historical truth. Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Vinay Damodar Savarkar, Rajendra Lal Misra, Ramesh Chandra Majumdar, Kashi Prasad Jaiswal, Radha Kumud Mukherjee, Bhagwan Lal Indarji, Vasudev Vishnu Mirashi, and Anand Sadashiv Altekar are the names of some renowned scholars among the nationalist historians or nationalistic historians. But today we are going to study about one great nationalist historiographer, that is V.K. Rajwade. We cannot discuss anything without mentioning this great writer. He was a multifaceted genius. He was well known for his writing in Marathi on various subjects. He has written everything in Marathi in different subjects. The different subjects include history. He has written on history. He has written on linguistic. Linguistic means languages. He has even written on etymology. What do you mean by etymology? Study of origin of one particular word in one particular language. For example, English language, you know, there are many words which are originated from Latin. Its base or root word is from Latin. So etymology means study of the base or origin of a particular word of a particular language. For example, English has been originated from Latin. Many words in English has its root word in Latin. Even he was a great scholar on grammar. He has written many books on grammar. He was of the firm opinion that we should write our own history. That was his ideology. He compiled and edited 22 books. And the book's name is Maratyancha Idihasanchi Sadhane. He wrote very scholarly prefaces. What do you mean by prefaces? Index page to each of the 22 volumes. He has written the 22 volumes of books, and the book name we have already discussed and said, Maratyancha Idihasachi Sadhane. And he has written 22 volumes, and each volume he made scholarly preface. Preface means, you know, index page. He stated one thing: history is the all-inclusive image of the past societies. In history, everything should be there. In history, only negative points should not be exposed. While exposing the negative points, we must see that we must expose positive points also. So the history should be all-inclusive image of past societies. It does not include only the stories of political images, conspiracies. You know what is the meaning of conspiracy? Conspiracy means, another word of conspiracy is plot. Again, one more word is there, intrigue. Conspiracy means secret discussion for a bad purpose. That is the meaning of conspiracy. For example, we all know about Battle of Plassey, which was fought on 1757. Battle of Plassey paved the foundation of British rule in India. And in 8th standard, you have studied what conspiracy took place between Mir Jafar, the general of Sirajud Dawla, and Robert Clive, the general of British. Mir Jafar conspired with Robert Clive. Mir Jafar deceived his master Sirajud Dawla by having some conspiracy with Robert Clive, or the decisive war of Battle of Plassey. He deceived his master Sirajud Dawla. He gave all support to Robert Clive. This is what is conspiracy. So we must write in history about political images, conspiracies, and wars for seizing power. Seizing power means acquiring power. He stressed or insisted that history should be written only using authentic documentary source. He was of the firm opinion that history should be written by focusing or using trustworthy documentary source. History should not be written by any way. History should have some authentic documentary source. It should have some trustworthy documents in order to prove historical things. The nationalist historiography helped in the triggering of independence movement of the Indian people against the British. After reading this nationalist historiography, people were inspired in order to fight against British, because we all know there was a time British was ruling India. India was under the clutches of Britain. When we are going to see the inspiration which is taken by the people against the British rule, one book is very famous. That book name is The Indian War of Independence of 1857. It was written by Vinay Damodar Savarkar. It is known as the first War of Independence. It was written by Vinay Damodar Savarkar. You must be knowing about Vinay Damodar Savarkar. So, he has written about revolt of 1857. This also you have studied in 8th standard. What is revolt of 1857? At the Barakpur cantonment or military camp, a new Enfield rifle was introduced. There is no problem of introducing any rifle in any military cantonment, but there was some problem was there. The cartridge in which the bullets were there, they had to remove the bullets with the help of teeth. But there was a rumor spread. The cartridge was smeared or covered with the fat of cow and pig. Cow, being a holy animal, and pig is a taboo for Muslim, they were reluctant to open that particular cartridge in order to remove the bullets. At that time, Barakpur cantonment, Mangal Pandey, he refused to open the cartridge. He challenged his senior officer. He was forced to remove the bullets from the cartridge, but in anger, Mangal Pandey shot down his senior officer. So it was the beginning of 1857 revolt. About 1857 revolt, Vinay Damodar Savarkar has written in a book. That book's name is The Indian War of Independence 1857. When we are reading this book, you can get a lot of things about the geographical conditions and history of South Indian regions from this particular book. If you are reading this particular book, we will come to know which areas the revolt was spread. At the same time, Vinay Damodar Savarkar has written about the geographical condition of that area, political condition of that area, even social economic framework of that area. So, after reading this particular book, we get to know a lot of things about the history of South Indian region as well as North Indian regions where this particular war or War of Independence, or we can say Revolt of 1857 was spread. So, in today's class, we have discussed about colonial historiography, Oriental historiography, and the nationalist historiography. I hope you have understood all these historiographies. In the next class, we will be studying about historiography in the post-independence era. Post-independence era means after the independence. So, take care. Bye. See you in the next class.